Welcome to episode number 272 of the Keep Up Podcast.
Where the book you write is the one you hear.
Where the book you write is the one you hear.
Right.
What?
If you're writing a book,
Right.
when you're writing it, first you hear it.
Right. Where the book you write is the one you hear. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're telling me if you write a book,
I'm not telling you anything.
You don't hear it.
I'm just
in
trying
your
to
head
figure out what
first?
we're talking about. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
think you have control over your thoughts?
Yeah.
I think people are starting to think you don't.
Why?
You specifically.
Me?
Yeah. People are starting to talk.
The people.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if like my face opened up and there was a couple like little guys running around in there.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise you at all.
No. But I don't think that's the case. I feel pretty sentient.
When's the last time you watched Men in Black?
2020?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was a much more specific answer than I expected.
Hold on, it might be in my notes.
I don't know if we need to do all that.
No, we're going to do this.
All right.
Here come the men in black.
Here she comes to... No, wait. Here she comes to wreck the day. There it is.
To wreck the day? I thought it was save the day.
No.
No.
From Liar Liar.
Pants on fire. I thought it was here she comes to save the day.
No, to wreck the day. That's why it's funny. Oh, my gosh.
No, I don't have it in my notes. So it must have been before 2020.
Hi-ho, Silva, away!
Why are there hoes? Hi, hoes.
Welcome to the Keep Up Podcast. We're on Brent and Tim.
That's me.
We talk about all the things we consume, be it media or food. Having a hard time with the audio here.
What's going on?
I think it's fine.
Did it sound bad last week?
No, sounded great.
Then what could be wrong this week, bro?
Well, I just, I take the interface with me and then I bring it back. And who knows if a little switch got switched.
You think it's full of crusties?
No, it's not full of crusties. I don't know
The
what that
headphones
means,
aren't
but-
telling you the secret?
No, I mean, they are. It sounds fine. Just the
Okay.
waveforms look a little small and
Yeah,
this
little.
is uninteresting.
Why? People want to know what's the inside of us.
If you're listening to the podcast, just want to say thank you. Huge shout out to you.
So huge.
If you're watching on YouTube, huge shout out to you.
Huge.
Thanks for being here. Huge.
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 Just ask hello, say huge.
I bought some coffee today.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Seems like it's not working anymore.
No, dude, I drank it and it's gone now. But I walked up the street. My town's turning into this like fancy little spot where you can just like go buy stuff. You know what I mean?
Isn't that the point of any town?
No.
To buy things?
Maybe.
To live in and buy?
It's such a small little downtown. There's like not that many people.
Yeah.
But there's this little antique shop and they sell coffee grounds.
Oh, just the grounds.
Just the grounds, baby.
They won't even give you a fully made coffee?
You can get beans, but we accidentally bought beans and our grinder broke.
Oh.
Yeah, so no coffee.
That's sad.
And then I walked to the antique shop and I met a new friend. Her name's Katie.
Hey, Katie.
Hooked it up with the coffee. I mean, she didn't give it to me for free, but I'm just saying, like, she pointed me in the right direction.
Right. She's like, if you're going to have coffee,
Yeah.
have this.
Right. And so I got a good one and I had it and it was delicious.
It was coffee that you would recommend?
Yeah.
Scale of 1 to yum.
Scandinavian dark.
Whoa. Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Oh. Do
Yum.
you feel cultured?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did feel like I was expanding my horizons while
Now-
drinking it.
Do you drink coffee because you like it or as a way to wake up?
Because I like it.
'Cause
I
you
don't
like
know
it.
if it actually does anything.
Okay.
I think
At
it's
this
always
point.
been a placebo for me.
You
Well-
don't think it does any? It ever did anything?
I
for
don't
you?
think so. I don't
Do
think
you
it
add
ever
like
has.
sugars and stuff to it?
I use Splenda.
Well,
But it's supposed to be the caffeine that
right.
does it.
It's true. It's the caffeine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It always tastes like bitter burnt to me.
Well, you make it dumb.
Well, I don't make it.
Well,
I've
then
had it at like Dunkin' Donuts,
That's, yeah.
and I've had like different like goofy ones.
Different goofy ones.
Yeah, just like that have like shots of whatever, caramel swirl.
Oh yeah.
Dunkachino.
Those, yeah. If you don't like those, but you're not a massive sweets guy.
Nah,
So
unless it's
like,
a cookie.
Yeah, you're cookies,
Yeah.
huh? You
But
are cookies.
I don't. I am cookies.
Yeah,
I
Tim
don't
is
need
cookies.
caffeine in my life. Not my like.
I don't. Yeah, I don't really think I need it either, but I like it now. It's like a productivity thing for me.
Yeah.
Like I'll make a coffee and then I'll do a bunch of editing and stuff. Or I love playing video games while I'm drinking an El Cafe.
It's part of the ritual.
Part
we
of
are
the
all
ritual.
habitual rituals.
We are.
The youth of a nation.
You know that one.
Yeah.
You love that song, huh?
It's one of my favorites.
I watched Little Nicky recently.
I'm sorry.
Nah, bro, that movie rules.
Dude.
And I mean, half the soundtrack is POD.
Really?
Yeah. And that song's no, that song's not on there. I think actually that was pre We Are the Nation.
What was the point then?
We are the youth pre-youth of the nation.
Pre-youth.
I have no idea what we're talking about today.
That's the joy of the podcast. It's the
Yeah.
first official one of the year that
No,
isn't
last week was.
that isn't a reflection of the previous year.
That's true. That's true.
It's the first new one.
That's
and Brett,
accurate.
I come with a book.
Yeah, why do you have that?
I decided this year to take notes, physical notes on all the things I've done.
You know, I'm proud of you because you mentioned that on the last episode and
Yep.
you actually started doing it.
Yeah, look out. Don't
It's
worry.
stickers.
Yeah, well, I got stickers, but entries, reviews.
Whoa.
Yeah, I read.
Can
a
I
lot.
read all your journal
No,
entries?
it's my private journal.
Jessica is so cute. I wish she would just let me
I
hold
just
her
want-
hand. Every day I ask the great Plapatus.
The Great Plapatus, it's kind of a mixture. I have like entries of thoughts and stuff.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I'll describe the movie. I'll talk about my thoughts. I'll have points. Look, there's stuff.
It is pretty cool to look at.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I did like different colors and
Yeah.
pictures. And look, I did vampire teeth, but
Oh, look at that.
they kind of look like nipples.
Yes.
Dropping blood milk.
Lactating nipples. So how's your wrist feel?
Good.
Because here, why'd you look at your right one? You're a lefty.
Because you said, how's my wrist? And it was the closest one to me.
What?
My other hand had a book in it.
I just laughed myself dizzy. I need a second.
Yes.
That your right wrist was the closest one to you.
Yeah.
I
I am convinced I have one leg that's shorter than the other.
okay.
That I firmly believe.
Well, why?
Because when I do sit-ups or whatever, and I
Yeah.
put my feet against the wall,
Yeah.
my body shifted one side.
Yeah, you probably do then. I mean, you probably have an arm. Arms aren't always exactly the same length, right? Are they?
I thought they are.
I don't know, dude.
Dude, we're just magical skeletons.
So I ask because, of course we are.
That's what we are. We're magical electron skeleton meat bags.
I feel like we're not used to writing. What was electron? You
Magical.
said skeleton meat bags?
Yeah.
Skeleton meat bags.
Well, how do we exist? We're skeletons
yeah.
in like bloody skin,
Yeah.
and we have electrons in our brain and neurons,
Right.
and we're magical because we exist.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's an infallible description.
Tell me of another magical skeleton you know. There aren't any.
My cats,
All right, that's fair.
those are magical skeleton meat bags.
It's
In a
true.
fur satchel.
Right. They come with the fur attachment.
They have extra layers.
So your wrists, what's going on, Brett?
Not my wrist. I was talking about yours because I was thinking like I feel like we're not used to writing as much as we are typing.
Oh.
So I was wondering if you had any like you could only write for a certain amount of time if it's a
Nope.
position your hand is not used to.
Not really.
Yeah.
My writing has always been atrocious.
You're lefty. It's not your fault.
Yeah, it's always been pretty brutal. So looking,
I think it's legible.
it definitely can work.
So it's been pretty brutal.
It's been rough.
I hope there's no dished secrets on there because people could screenshot that.
Yeah,
and
this
read
is
it.
all just stuff.
Sure it
Of
is.
the album we're going to
Oh
talk about.
yeah. I do know what we're talking
Show
about
I
today.
finished.
Let's
game.
go. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, because I didn't generally have a focus with this. It was kind of general ideas, and I wish I was better at drawing because I would love to make like little sketches in it.
Yeah,
that's
you
what
can.
Well, that's what my little things were, but
Yeah, you're just starting.
and I put stickers.
Yep, I like that.
just want to do some fun.
It looks like a lot of fun, dude.
I'm having a good time with
It's like a lot of fun.
But all that to say, no, my hands are feeling okay. My wrist, my left wrist specifically.
Yeah, that's good.
Feeling good.
Maybe it's a dumb question. I was just thinking, like,
no, right? Because it is.
How often do you handwrite?
No one
things?
handwrites anything.
No one has ever done that.
Not in the history of forever.
No.
But also, just before we get into the next whatever we're going to go into, thank you to all our patrons out there.
Yeah.
For being amazing, beautiful people.
Yeah.
For always enjoying the things we do and supporting us. Because Brett wouldn't be here without you guys.
Nope.
His maintenance costs is crazy.
Yes, I'm very expensive.
It's tough. So you guys keep the dream alive. And if you want to subscribe, we, of course, have 2 food challenges. We have our bonus podcast, Cricket City, and whatever else we decide to throw your way.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Patreon.com/thekeepup.
And with all that out of the way,
What?
I think it's time we go back to the bulletin board.
What's on the bulletin board? What you got, Timothy?
Yo, welcome to the bulletin board where I give you what's new. Which is... well, I'm waiting for the notes to load.
Yeah.
I mean, I already know what it is, but freaking Mickey Mouse is free!
Yes, that is true. And we immediately have a horror movie.
Not only that, we have a horror video game.
Oh, that's right.
There's already been announced another Mickey Mouse horror movie.
I thought I saw 2. There's 2?
There's 2. There's one
Okay.
that has a trailer that's coming out like within a couple months.
Yeah, so they've been like ready.
Yeah. Knowing it was coming, I guess they were just like, we're gonna make this whole movie.
Right.
So to be specific, it is the Steamboat Willie.
Steamboat Willie.
I talked a lot today.
Willie.
This is why I write, because talking is not good.
Yeah.
I want to write cast
How do you do that?
where it's a podcast but just written.
You could have it maybe if you had like an iPad with an Apple Pencil or some kind of tablet.
Yes.
And you have it like so that while you're writing, it's showing up on the screen.
Yeah, that would be the way to do it. And then you would need 2 people, though. It would be 2 screens.
Right.
And someone would write, and then the other person would respond with writing.
That would be very interesting.
That would be unique.
Gosh, it would take forever.
Yeah, it would be a very long video or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yes, Steamboat Willie version of Mickey Mouse. This is where people are going to get in trouble a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of mistakes because I can't confirm because I haven't looked too deeply into it as far as what you can and can't do.
Sure.
But some people said you can't have gloves. The Mickey Mouse with gloves wasn't introduced until a couple years later.
Interesting.
And they'll get as specific as the Steamboat Willie Mickey has to look, identical to the one you have because there's or the one that is free now technically.
Right.
So like gloves aren't for a couple years, depending on the ear shape, the pants, like all these different variants of Mickey Mouse throughout the years are still protected because they didn't exist until later
So
on.
it has to be clear that they're using the Steamboat Willie version.
Yeah, which is
very clear.
It's super weird that it's something that you had to be so specific that you're infringing upon this property.
Right. Just to be clear, this is the character I'm stealing.
Yes.
Not this one.
Not this one.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of fascinating to see because we saw it with Winnie the Pooh, what, 2 years ago? Last year?
Yeah.
It was recent.
Yeah, maybe it was end of last year. I don't know because they were talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
Blood and Honey.
Yes. And that came out and everyone said it was awful.
Yeah.
The
I
movie.
didn't even watch it.
Yeah. Me neither. I'm not going to waste my time.
Yeah.
Maybe out of curiosity.
I was just going to say, I'm kind of curious.
I'm in no rush anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, Steamboat Willie. And it's interesting because for the next 10 years, 20 years, I'm curious if we're just going to have a big regurgitation of old properties and people try to capitalize on them instead of people trying to make new things. I don't think it'll be exclusively that.
Yeah.
But like even things we probably won't see it in our lifetime, but certain things we grew up with in the 90s. I mean, if we survived to 2090 for whatever reason, we might see something.
I was just doing the math on how old I would have to make it to the year 2100.
You would be...
Because my kids will probably see that year.
2100?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they would.
They'll be like in their 80s.
Yeah,
But
that's kind of crazy.
they were talking about it the other day because Jazz was like, "Isn't it crazy that in like 70 something years it's going to be the year 3000?" And I was like, not quite. And
Nope.
he was like, "What?" And I was like, "You're thinking of like when we hit 2100." And he was like, "Oh yeah, isn't that crazy?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, that's crazy."
That is crazy.
And then we immediately started doing the math. And
Yeah.
I was like, if we all lived to see that year, it's technically possible. There is someone older living on Earth right now than I would have to be. I believe it came out to like 112 or something.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So I just got to start getting in really good shape.
That's it. Well, technology might advance to the point where we keep our
true.
like heads in jars and
That's
be
true.
okay.
And then I was thinking, imagine living long enough to see your kids in their 80s.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Right?
You would probably always see them as your kids.
Yeah, it's just, I just can't imagine what.
Seeing your kids old.
And I still have a lot of like phases to go through of like seeing my kids be like older teenagers and
Yeah.
young adults and all that stuff. So even that's going to be weird. I can't imagine just being like full grown, like I've been around for 100 years. You've been around for 85. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
wait, what's that math?
That would mean
that
you were
math is wrong.
15.
Yeah, that math is wrong. That's why it was 112.
Right.
Strictly 112.
You had
years.
to be exact.
But yeah, it's funny. I was just thinking recently about just the recycling of properties in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having a hard time, and this has to be aged to a degree. I won't deny that. But I feel like it gets to a point where it really becomes hard to distinguish between, like, I've just been around for a long time, I'm older, so I'm starting to think this way.
Mm-hmm.
Or are things actually being recycled and less interesting than they were when I was younger? And not even just when I was younger, but in different time periods.
Yeah.
So I've already watched, I think, 5 movies this year.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all from, with the exception of one, which might have been early 2000s, The Great Platypus.
Our hero.
80s or 90s movies.
Okay.
And I just love them so much.
Yes.
And was thinking about how ridiculous the 80s action boom was.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched Con Air, which we can talk about more in movies. I don't know when the last time you watched that movie
It's
was.
been a long time.
But you've
yeah.
seen it?
Yes, yeah.
It is.
It's good. I remember it being
is-
a good time.
It is so great.
Yeah.
And I had a moment where I was like, this is such a cliche statement, but I was like, I feel like they don't make movies like this anymore.
It is.
Or things just feel different now.
Yeah, I mean, as technology advances, you see
I think that's a huge part of it.
that is because you'll see people take a lot of the lazy or the cheaper way,
Yeah.
where, and not to say they didn't do it back in the day. I bet it was even worse back in the day.
Sure, but I bet those movies didn't really make it to the mainstream.
Yeah, as much.
Yeah.
Where nowadays there are hundreds of movies coming out of us, so easily accessible.
Right.
And so it's that oversaturation thing where like none of the movies feel like they'll blow you away.
Yeah.
Because there's always 10 Spider-Man movies. Granted, Spider-Man I always have a good time with.
Me too. And like it really depends. Like superheroes, like it is the nature of comic books for characters to be like retold and reborn, and you see an origin story again and then a full arc and then you see another origin story. So that almost feels like par for the course, albeit like Batman and Superman got to a point where it was like, all right, we know where they came from.
We don't need to hear it anymore.
But I know we're going to see like sort of a version of that, but I think less of an origin story with James Gunn's new Superman movie, if I remember correctly. But I do feel like there's just so many like revivals or turning cartoons we grew up with into like a dramatic live action series, and it's all this stuff. And occasionally you get like a John Wick, which is like, okay, that's just an original property. It's a modern day action movie. They still do exist. Like,
But now didn't John Wick 4 just come out?
Yes.
Or 5? I don't even know.
Right.
What was the most recent one?
And I don't know if it's any better, but it's interesting watching through like I'm still catching up on Jean-Claude Van Damme movies that I missed.
Of course, always.
And they legit they would have they'd have a guy and be like, this is what this guy does. And then they would just keep making sometimes like the same movie, and they would just keep doing that. So it would be the same. It would be like if John Wick 2, 3, and 4
Yep.
were just titled different things,
Right.
But the same movie. You know what I mean? And
It's
like,
the same guy doing the same thing.
yeah, but it would be a subtle difference. Like,
Yeah.
oh, in this one, you know, he's avenging his wife. In this one, he's like, he was a poor orphan kid and he has a complex, so he's
Yeah.
growing up to prove himself in this tournament. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just interesting, and I can't tell sometimes if I'm like, are we going to keep seeing, like you're saying, like the Mickey thing, like, oh, now this cartoon character's a horror movie, and now this one's a horror movie, and now we're redoing, I don't even know, like, we're going to redo Bring It On. Like, there's a new Bring It On, and it's a whole
Mean
reboot.
Girls?
Mean Girls, yeah.
Did you see the trailer for that?
I didn't see the trailer. Is it like a sequel?
I think it's a reboot.
Weird.
Because I don't see the signs of any of the original anybody in it.
I
But it
didn't
seems
see
like
the trailer.
the story's the same. I want to say Tina Fey's in it too, which would be wild.
That would be.
She was in the original. But yeah, all that to totally go with your point is it's just like there's so much, even Disney, like all of their live action movies right now
Yeah.
are just the remakes of the animated ones.
Right, yeah.
So is there like a
Very
drought of originality? Or do they think they'll just capitalize on everybody being nostalgic and just keep?
Well, that's the
pushing
thing,
them
is
out?
that is absolutely happening.
Yeah.
That is 100% a thing, and I'm not innocent of that. Like, there are definitely things coming. I can't wait for the Spawn movie to come out. I'm hoping that rules. You know, there's definitely things that are like in revival mode or reboot mode that I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I'll go see that in a heartbeat. So I
That's
don't know.
the thing. We keep eating it up.
Absolutely. Like so it just depends on what it is, but there are some things that feel a little more like recycled than others for whatever reason. And we
Yeah.
kind of talked about that with Del Toro's Pinocchio, where it's like, okay, that is such a fresh take that it doesn't feel like something recycled. But I am curious to see. I mean, I saw some art for one of the Steamboat Willie like horror movies, or maybe it was the game, I don't know which one, and the art looked really cool, and I was like, all right, I am interested in that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like if it's on Netflix and you got friends over, you'll maybe
watch
pop
it.
it on and be like, well,
How do we capitalize on this? That's my question.
we need to find something that's super obscure
Yep.
and make it cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Steamboat Willie?
That's not obscure.
Okay, so something that has gone public domain,
Right.
but nobody else is using it.
Nobody.
Keep your eyes out, people. It's gonna get weird around
It's
here.
going to get wild.
Yeah.
Also, yes, it is a remake of Mean Girls.
It's a remake.
But almost everybody who was in the original, as far as like teachers, are in it again. So you have
so
Tina Fey.
strange.
You have what's his name? Tim Meadows.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's in it too. John Hamm's in it. I don't know. It's just they're doing it again. I
Weird.
guess. I don't know. That movie is so good. It doesn't need a remake.
No, it seems weird to make one because
Mm-hmm.
it has such an iconic status. I guess the question becomes like, can a new one become for a current generation what that one was for ours?
That's the
You know what I
question.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see.
Weird.
But yeah, if you want to make a Steamboat Willie thing,
Now's the time.
now's the time. Just watch out for the gloves.
No gloves.
They'll catch you.
And no pants, right? Was that the other rule?
No, I think it was certain pants.
No pants.
He did no pants.
No pants, Willie.
Need a hat though.
Need a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to be black and white too. Can't be in color.
Interesting.
Yep.
Wow.
But with that, let's go to TV.
Okay, I'll allow it.
And they said, yea, verily, upon thee today at whicheth we talk about Loki.
This is very different, having you like read your notes from a notebook.
I know. I don't know if I'll stick with it, but
You will.
Wow. Okay. Brett believes in me.
Wow.
Well, I'll still write it down, but I don't know if for the podcast I'll do it. It might be easier to have like quick access notes on my
You
phone.
will.
All right, Brett.
Season 1, season 2,
Season
all of it?
2.
Season 2.
I saw season 1 when it first came out.
Okay, proud of you.
And I've been kind of off the Marvel train for a little while. Haven't been watching anything new.
How'd it feel getting back into it?
It feels fine. The thing with Loki season 2,
Yeah.
and this is where a lot of the recent Marvel stuff has been struggling with, is it's heavily focused on Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
And building up him as to be this like crazy threat.
Okay.
And so, you know, considering how the where the actor is right now, as far as what's that on your phone?
I don't know.
Okay. Brett's gonna check something out on his phone.
Vamp.
I'm gonna vamp. What the hell was I talking? Oh yeah,
Keep talking about it.
yeah. I'll keep talking about it. So
Kang.
yeah. The actor, I believe his name's Jonathan Majors. Yes. He at this point, I just spit things out of my mouth. He is, I believe, convicted of being not a good guy. That's the official conviction. No, I guess he had some kind of like fight with his girlfriend, and she attacked him, and he like fought back, and there's some kind of messy mess going in there.
It sounds bad.
But I believe he was convicted, and he was guilty. So all that to say, Marvel really invested heavily into making him the big villain of this.
He was like the next Thanos kind of.
Yeah. But it's weird because it's like, imagine if they had Thanos in every movie, either as a villain or as a big character within the story.
Okay.
Because Ant-Man was very much like that.
Yeah.
He was the big villain throughout that.
Yes, that's
true. He, obviously, Loki season 1.
Yep.
He is, comes to play in it. And he's all over Loki season 2.
Okay.
So it's still, obviously you still follow Loki. There's some time traveling shenanigans. You got Morbius. You got the crew.
Yeah.
And kind of the fallout of what happened after season 1. So that being said, Tom Hiddleston, still the treasure of Marvel. Still one of the greatest characters in all of Marvel. Loki he did so good.
Isn't it so weird?
Yeah.
Like, he shows up in Avengers. You all right?
Yeah.
And just never.
Did I have a weird noise come out of my mouth?
I think you burped. It was just subconscious.
I was just like, whoop.
And just never went away.
Yeah, I mean, unlike a lot of other villains,
just remains great.
Yeah, and especially seeing his whole story,
it's insane.
Go from being like what he is even in Thor, right? He's in Thor as well.
Yep.
Thor, Avengers, and every time he pops up.
Oh wait, yeah, Thor is where he first shows up.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
but that's okay. Avengers, he's a big guy in that.
Yeah.
So to see where it ends up all the way in Loki, at least Loki season 1, and where it goes in season 2, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah. I find that this season was not as good as the first one.
Okay.
There's some really good highlights.
Okay. I like
but
that.
Again, the focus on Kang is so strong that any other story, any other arc feels overshadowed because they're really pushing him, and he's a big part of it. Like, I understand why they did it, but knowing that Kang might not exist anymore makes almost the whole season mute. For the things that happen in it.
I think moot.
What'd I say, mute?
Yeah.
Yeah, moot is what I meant.
So it's not silent.
It's not silent.
But it might be worth nothing.
It might be worth nothing.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, so there's that aspect of it. Mm-hmm. But I also, and I don't know if this was part of what you were picking up on as well, but it's like, of course, all the earlier Marvel stuff was pushing towards something, but it didn't feel like that was the only thing you were focusing on. Like, it felt like there were these other peripheral stories
Everything
going on.
was its own story, and then the big story, there was always just little tidbits. You would get it in the post-credits.
Yeah.
You would get little breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
But to make the movies focused around building up to that makes the movies feel less powerful by themselves.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because the sum of it all was always like a really good payoff. Like, oh man, I can't believe they were doing this the whole time. Mm-hmm. But it just, I don't know, it sounds like it's just too heavy-handed with this is your villain, this is the bad guy.
Yep. And here he is doing everything.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
But when you're not looking at that stuff, the Loki side of things, again, the stories that are concluded or however everything ends up is good, is satisfying.
Cool.
So it's worth a watch just if you really like the characters.
Yeah.
As far as like the changing of the Marvel universe or anything like that, nothing too out there, nothing too crazy. Also, and I have his name written down. Let me see if I can find it in my notes. And I apologize, I'm going to butcher his name.
Oh, I can't wait.
He is Short Round. That's who he originally.
Oh yeah,
was.
I literally don't even know how to say his name.
I'm gonna say because I believe you said it when we were talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I always forget. It's a name that like I'll say it. I
Yeah.
think it's
Ki Hui Kwan.
Sounds right.
HUY space QUAN. Ki Hui Kwan.
It's the middle. It's the middle name.
Hui Hui.
I'm not sure how to pronounce that part.
Well, that guy.
But yeah.
He stole the show.
Yeah.
He's in it.
Dude, he's incredible. I'm so glad he's like back in the game.
Yes.
His return is like one of the coolest things ever.
He's all over the place, and every time he shows up in a movie or something, I'm
Yeah.
like, I love him.
Yeah, he's great.
He plays a character named Ouroboros, and he's just like a super smart like technician.
Yeah.
And he's in it a lot, which is great. And he steals the show. Every time he's on the screen, I'm like, everyone get out of the way, let him talk. He did amazing. I loved it. So that was a highlight for me.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think for the most part, it's satisfying. Again, get rid of the Kang stuff. Don't care about
Doesn't
it.
matter, yeah.
Unless they end up doing something with it. Right now, it just feels like, you fools. You
Yeah,
fools. But yeah, everything else is pretty satisfying.
Cool.
Yeah, I say keeper. I say keeper.
Keeper.
It's what's there is really fun. And again, if you like Loki or any, if you've been following him long enough, it's worth continuing the journey.
That's the thing. I think that one, the original appeal of the Marvel shows was like, oh, I love Hawkeye.
Yes.
I get a whole show with Hawkeye and that story. That's awesome.
Yep.
And then, some of the newer shows that were specifically launching a character lost a little bit of appeal. There were some that I definitely really liked, but I think Loki still maintains that. It's like, oh, I love Loki. Loki is still the character he's always been. Like, it's this evolving storyline and is still really fun.
Yep.
Did you see the trailer for Echo?
I did. I saw a fight sequence
Yeah.
in Echo.
Yeah.
And whoo!
Dude.
It's, I don't know if it's out yet.
I don't think so.
5 episodes. That's the season.
5 episodes. But they're probably going to be, you think they're going to be hour-long episodes?
Yeah, why would they be?
I don't know. I'm just saying that's like, it's short, but an hour, it's 5 hours.
Yeah.
It's like 2.5 movies.
Yeah.
So we'll be fine.
I'm very excited because I'm hoping, and it seems like it's going to go that way, of it being the Netflix Marvel stuff.
I think that's, it's being labeled mature and
TVMA.
and I was just reading something about how it is surprisingly dramatic. Like it's Marvel's like most drama filled show so far.
And it's weird because like out of everything that they could have done, like Echo just wasn't something that I thought they were working on.
Yeah,
or
I didn't know.
that was coming out, but because they were doing that Daredevil show, supposed to be like 22 episodes, canned it. They're not doing that anymore.
Oh, crazy! I didn't know that.
Well, I'm sorry. They're rewriting it. They're working on it more because I think the reception from She-Hulk and everything else kind of made them change their tone.
Oh, interesting.
So they're going into the more mature realm, which is how it should be.
That was some of my favorite stuff. So, stoked about that.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any TV stuff this week. Other than,
Yeah.
I don't know that I talked about this. I wouldn't have last week.
No.
I think I just told you individually. But I finished Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, nice.
Season 2. There's only 2 seasons for anyone who's unfamiliar. This was the more recent, definitely like most youthful Ninja Turtles animated series in a long time. It gets a lot of hate from some like OGs, like people who've been fans for a long time. But I think largely it's from people who who didn't really give it a full chance. I think it's tough if you can't kind of let loose and have fun with it. It is a different. The characters are different. They have different roles in the show. Splinter's a very different version of any other Splinter that we've seen before in a lot of ways. The origins change. There's a lot that changes, but this is a very fun and like wacky version of the Turtles. And the last like 3 or 4 episodes of the show are so incredibly good. Like it's one of those things where like you could just watch those episodes. I think it is 3 because I think it's 3 parts. But they all of a sudden start throwing these characters at you that you're like, wait, this character is this, and like it's and then they give you characters that you haven't seen yet that you only get for a few episodes, but they're so good. And just the finale is incredible, and it's one of those things where like I really would recommend watching all of it. And there are some episodes in between that are just like zany cartoon fun, but then you'll get one that really builds the the lore of this version of the Turtles. And then there's a movie that came out, I think, a year or two after the show had been canceled that is also incredible. Highly recommend both.
And that serves as a series finale?
No, the series ends with season 2.
Okay.
And then you get this follow-up movie that is like equally as good.
That's cool.
But it is arguably... The finale of the show is arguably better than the movie.
Okay.
But the animation, like the fight scenes and everything gets so huge and crazy in the finale. And then in the movie, it just kind of stays at that high level. And it's a very cool, like, standstill Ninja Turtles movie.
Cool.
It's interesting because it really does belong in the conversation, I think, with like all of the Turtles movies. Like TMNT, the Batman Turtles animated movie, all the live action stuff. Obviously Mutant Mayhem, like... This Rise movie should be included in that because it's a very full story.
If someone's going to like watch all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, would you recommend for them to put it in the list even if they haven't seen the series?
You could for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it would be worth doing if you're just going to go through all of the cool thing about that one. If you're just going to go through all of the movies, is if you enjoy that movie, you have a whole season, like a season and a half. It's season 1, I think, is 26 episodes. Second season's half that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's very, very good. I think the movie is like, hey, this is this show at its best, and there aren't any episodes like every episode has like fun jokes, but it is a much more youthful. Like my kids, it's like their favorite version of the Turtles, and I like warmed up to this version as well. They're not always as like. There are moments where the Turtles feel a little more one-dimensional because they're like. They are more youthful and kind of all the silly one rather than it just being like Mikey.
Gotcha.
But yeah, there's a lot of really bright spots in the show, and I just bring it up to say like it gets a bad rep in some circles, but if you're ever curious about it, I do recommend it, especially if you're a fan of animation, action, and just like goofy cartoon fun. That has a much better payoff than it really needed to have.
Yeah.
It's so good. So highly recommend that.
Cool.
Yeah. And those are on...
So they're all keepers.
Yes, all keepers. Sorry, I forgot what we do here. Yes, both seasons are absolutely keepers, and the movie is as well, which I think is just called Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie.
Simple name.
Yeah. It's so long, dude. And everything's on Netflix except season 2. Those 13 episodes aren't. So all of season 1 and the movie are on Netflix.
So where's season 2?
Paramount. Yeah, and you can get everything on Paramount, but Paramount has all the Turtles.
Yeah, because if I recall, the movie was a Netflix exclusive.
It was, yeah. Oh, yeah. So that actually, I wonder if Paramount has that now.
Yeah, I don't know where it ends up.
But they do have seasons 1 and 2. I don't know. But they're out there. Get a free trial of Paramount and watch those 13
and
episodes.
just watch everything.
Yeah. I think, are we doing movies? We got movies?
Yeah.
Yeah!
Ooh, let's go to the movies.
Hi.
Hello?
I'm referring back to the book.
The book.
The Holy Bible of Tim. I watched a lot of movies recently.
It looked like it.
Yeah. I want to talk about this one.
What it is?
Being The Lost Boys.
The Lost Boys. Had you never seen The Lost Boys?
First time seeing it.
No way.
First time seeing it.
Interesting. Okay.
So for those of you who don't know, The Lost Boys is a tale of two brothers and a mother who moved to, what the hell is it? Santa, somewhere in California. Santa Carlo, the Carlo's house. Anyways, they moved to California. And they're from... I don't even remember. It's like Ohio or something.
That sounds right.
And so they're just like getting used to the world of California.
Yeah.
But it turns out where they moved to is full of vampires. So this movie, I was always under the impression that it is a like super well-regarded favorite movie of many people.
It is.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I think it's all right. I give it like a fine.
I thought you were going to say a 5, and that's too
Not
low.
yet. No.
Okay.
No. What did I give it? I gave it a 6.
A 6?
It's I think it's just not for me. It's just it feels like it's for a time and for a people that were around that time, and I was neither of those.
Wow, dude,
It's super weird,
yeah.
but not in like the like.
That's why it's awesome.
Not like in the campy kind of way. It's just weird.
Yeah, dude. If that saxophone scene doesn't bring it up to a 9 for you, that's just how that guy is. By the way.
Oh yeah, that I'm not surprised at at all.
Yeah.
It's. I don't know, man.
Dude, like the like the teen rebellion of the vampires and like the
it's like it feels like all the other 80s movies I've seen as far as like you got the group of biker kids.
so you okay.
Hold on.
First of all, do not describe this format in that voice because it is one of the greatest formats of storytelling
It
ever.
works in like the 5 movies. I don't need to see it with every 80s movie I see.
What's the last time you saw it?
saw what?
This formula, like
In like every 80s movie I've seen.
like what? Like what? Kids on bikes making a bad movie for you?
It's in like
I want to remind everyone that Tim doesn't like Monster Squad,
yeah.
which is ridiculous.
I think that's the last time I saw it. No, I feel like every time I watch like cult classic
Yeah.
like 80s movie, it's always the same format. It's again the biker kids,
Yep.
the parents not listening to
That's
the
just
kids.
how kids got around.
Goonies is like that.
Yeah, that's
But
how
Goonies
kids
is
got
great.
places.
Goonies is great.
Okay, so you like Goonies.
Yeah, Goonies is great.
It makes no sense that you don't like Monster Squad. Monster Squad is the Goonies with monsters.
I like Karate Kid.
K.
Yeah, but it's so like the acting in this movie, and again, it's prevalent through a lot of 80s movies.
Sure.
Where it's like very dramatic, and everyone's like super. They are such strong versions of their roles.
Sure.
So if they're a biker, they're criminals. They're bad. They're messing with things. They're they're all laughing at each other. It's so stupid. And then they like play chicken. Again, something you see in every type of movie like this. I just find all the tropes and all the cliches to be too much.
But that was like 40 years ago, though.
Yeah. I'm not 40, Brett. I'm 29, almost 29. So yeah, that's what I say.
Interesting. You didn't think it was cool?
Not really. They all just felt like big dorks to me. They were
my
overacting.
gosh.
They were, even freaking Edgar and Allan, the boys in the comic shop. They were like so pouty and serious and like, oh, you think there are vampires? You should believe us. They were
But that's like fun.
It wasn't fun to me. It was like
I feel like you're watching them wrong. I feel like you're taking it as like way too dramatic. Like that's
Yeah,
the
that's-
over the top, like the silliness of it. Like that's like in the Goonies when they get all excited about the treasure map and stuff.
that's fun.
This is the same thing.
Nah.
It's just comic books and vampires.
I feel like they're trying to make it serious. That's how it came across. Is they're trying to make it.
Well, they are because those kids are serious about it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like they're kids. They're like, yo, I don't know, man. Like it's real. Like they really believe it.
Yeah,
Like you can't.
but they were right.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm saying like
That's the fun of it.
if I'm the director of this movie,
Yeah.
I'm not going to make every character be as over the top dramatic as they were. Like the brother, the brother who was slowly becoming a vampire. That's the story, by the way. The brother starts becoming a vampire, and they had to figure out how to stop it. And so he is going around like again, all like mopey and dramatic and sad, and he's like, oh, don't tell mom. Or like, I feel like I'm just watching like a stage play.
All right, I gotta watch it again because the last time I saw it, because it's not like I grew up watching it either.
Yeah.
But the last time I saw it, I was like you do have to put yourself in the decade a little bit because there are these like dramatic, like what we would, someone might call like an emo performance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, dark and brooding and goth boy. And
Yeah.
like,
And then the girl he's after, like, she's like, I told you not to do it, and it's just everything feels like a soap opera. I will say though, the second half is much stronger than the first half.
Sure.
I think it takes a little while to build up, and again, the cheesiness and the overacting really dampened it. But once you get to more of the action stuff, that's fun. That's fun. It looks good. So
you hate comedy, you hate drama.
Yeah, I hate it all, Brett.
Wow.
I was just not as impressed with this movie as I've been hyped up to believe it being, I guess.
That's fair. So what do you give it? Keeper or sleeper?
6 out of 10. That's a keeper.
That's a keeper?
Whether or not I want it to be, it's a keeper.
All right. Tim reluctantly keeps The Lost Boys on the list.
Yeah.
Which means if you haven't seen it, put it on the list.
You got to put it on the list.
You got to catch it. You've at least seen it now. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell people I've seen it.
Yeah, that's true.
On the other end of the spectrum, well, not the other end, but the positive end, I saw Don't Look Up.
Don't Look Up.
This is the one with Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
And the end of the world. They catch a giant meteor coming towards Earth, and they're trying to warn people about it.
Right.
Dude, this movie is awesome.
Really?
It's so good.
Is this on Netflix right now?
Yeah, Netflix.
Okay.
I believe it's a Netflix original.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's mostly satirical. I was confused because I thought it was more of like a drama, or which it is. But the first thing it was categorized as is a comedy, and I didn't think it was going to be like that.
I don't think I realized that either.
Yeah, but it actually is like comedic. It's more of a dark humor than anything.
Yeah.
And very much satirical on the United States government and social media, and like really it's creepily accurate to how people react to terrible things in the real world. Influencers reacting to it, like, early on they go and meet with the president, and that doesn't go as one would assume.
Yeah.
If you tell the president the end of the world's coming, and it's frustrating.
I almost don't want to watch it because I feel like it's going to be so close to home. Like, this is what would happen.
That is the big thing. Is I was nervous at points because I was like, am I watching like a real news cast?
Yeah.
Because it really captures how it is.
Uncomfortable.
But man, it's such a good watch. When it's funny, it's funny. When it's dramatic, it's dramatic. It's it goes all over the place too.
Yeah.
As far as like different locations and different you think the story's gonna go one way, and it's like, haha, left turn. Oh, another left turn. But not so much a twist, just like they keep finding ways to keep the narrative going where otherwise you would think it would be over.
Sure. Yeah.
But Leonardo DiCaprio kills it. Jennifer Lawrence kills it. You got a ton of famous people in there. But yeah, it is such a good watch.
Okay.
Again, the satire is probably my favorite aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because all the things they're making fun of, I'm like, I recognize this. This is the world with how it is. And I believe it was directed by Adam McKay. Which, do you know who he is?
I feel like I do, but I don't know why.
He did The Other Guys.
Oh,
which is Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg.
Yep.
And what else did he do? There was one other thing that I was like, oh yeah. I don't have it up or here.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, he does some pretty good movies.
Yeah.
He did The Big Short.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's done some pretty. Oh, Anchorman 2. Yeah. Step Brothers.
Yeah, that's why I know him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So. He did a lot of good stuff. So
great comedies.
Great what?
Comedies.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why this fits as another great comedy.
Yeah.
But excellent. Highly recommend. Super Keeper.
Super
Keeper. I was
gave it
so
the Super
impressed.
Keeper. Yeah. Wow.
But that's all I had of movies.
Because I referenced it earlier, I just want to throw out there how much Con Air holds up. The most dated aspects of it are some of the music cues.
See, that's the kind of cheesiness that I'd like, though.
Yeah, so then you'll love this.
Yeah.
And also just Nick Cage's like long hair. And
how has he had long hair in anything else? Because anytime I think of him with long hair, it's only Con Air.
Yeah. Wasn't he a long-haired Superman?
It was longer. I don't think it was as long as that, but
oh man, it's so good. There's like the montages of him writing the letter and being like, "Dear Hummingbird," like his accent throughout the whole thing. For anyone who doesn't know, the movie is about he plays Cameron Poe, who gets in a bar fight after some guys try to take advantage of his wife. And
sorry,
bless you.
Thanks.
He gets in this fight, and as a veteran, he is well trained, and he accidentally kills a guy during the fight.
I do this all the time.
Yeah, it's a really hard thing to deal with. We've come to expect it from like whenever Tim leaves the house. So we have, precautions set and ways to deal with it. But Cameron Poe did not have those things.
Nope, not this time.
So he gets sentenced to prison. His daughter is born while he's in prison. So he's like writing letters to her and to his wife, who he calls Hummingbird. And he's got this like amazing Southern accent. But the cast in this movie is out of control. So it's Nicolas Cage, John Cusack, Dave Chappelle,
oh my God,
John Malkovich, what's his name? Steve Buscemi.
Yep.
Ving Rhames.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to think. I'm probably forgetting someone, but just absolutely unbelievable cast. So on the day that he's to be released, he gets on this flight, which happens to have like the worst of the worst criminals, and they end up hijacking the plane. And it is just such a great action drama, and it's so
Danny
much fun.
Trejo's in it?
Yeah, Danny Trejo. I knew I was missing one. That when I saw him, I was like, "Is that Danny Trejo?"
I wonder how they got such a good cast for this.
Well, some of them, like Danny Trejo, and like what year was this? 93?
97.
Oh, 97. It was later. Okay. So I don't know. I feel like Trejo hadn't been in as much yet. Like maybe From Dusk Till Dawn. I feel like that was a little bit earlier, but I think he was in that. Why'd that movie just pop into my head? Can you verify that for me?
Yeah, I thought he was in it too.
Yeah, so it's a great movie, and it was one of those things where I was watching it, and it definitely has some nostalgia for me because it was he is, okay. Yeah. It was one of the like earlier action movies I saw in my life and really loved it, and it's just crazy how well it holds up. It's still so intriguing and crazy, like explosions and engaging, I should say. Like as they introduce new criminals, and there's some situations that are really like uncomfortable, and you're not sure what's going to happen. And yeah, it's great. I loved it so much. It's absolutely a keeper. And
I got to revisit it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you haven't seen it, I think it'll hold up as a first watch. And just all the performances are great. And it was one of the moments where I was like, I don't know if I've seen a movie like this in a while.
Yeah.
And
you ever see the National Treasure movies?
Yes, I saw the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because those are great.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of love for those. Those are some that I should go back and revisit. Maybe I'll just watch all of Nicolas Cage's.
That's next.
And that was the other thing, is watching this, how early this is, but he had already done so many other things.
I think he's been in over 200 movies at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. If you Google it, it's insane. And now he's just the fact that he's still in this sort of like whatever part of his career he's in now is just wild.
He was born in 1964.
Yeah. Started acting in 1965.
Let's see. His first credit is, oh God, I went too far, too fast. Do you got a year? You think you got a...
Late 70s?
1981.
Oh, I was close.
The Best of Times. Here's the Lives of 7 Teenage Friends in 1981. Singing, dancing, and breaking the fourth wall.
Wow.
TV movie.
Amazing. I'll have to watch that.
That's the cover of it.
It's just his face?
I guess so. He looks old there.
Yeah,
though.
what? Is that what he looked like as like an 18-year-old? Get out of here.
I don't know if you can see it on camera, but...
Yeah, but I don't know.
Anyways, maybe
That's
they
crazy.
changed it after he became famous.
Probably. That movie probably is awful, and then they retroactively just covered it with his face.
It's like, hey, you want to see Nicolas Cage?
Con Air's a huge keeper. I know we need to get to music, which I'm excited about.
Yes. Is books before, though?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let's do books. Well, yeah, let's do books. Books and comics.
Have you read anything good lately?
Tim, did you start reading already?
Oh, I'm currently reading, my brother. Ah, yes. Anyways, yes, I finished my first book this year.
Wow, I know that was one of your goals this year, was to read more.
I'm determined to change my
like
life.
And
the only way to do that is with Sonic music. But also with a book I read called Smashed.
Oh, you finished Smashed.
I finally finished Smashed.
Smashed. Yep.
So Junji Ito, written, and I I assume he writes and does the art? Because he's known for the art, but I assume he writes the stories too,
Right.
exclusively.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. I didn't want to.
That's weird. I've never thought about that until
Right,
right
like
now.
the entity of Junji Ito does everything.
I've always thought he's an entity.
Because his name's on the book, but I think it's only him who's credited.
Yeah.
So I had to assume it's all him.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because he has a lot of work out there.
That is crazy. I don't know why I just never. It's like I thought he just wrote it and the drawings came to life.
Right, like it's just
or the reverse. Like he'd illustrate it and the words just appeared on the page.
Right, like I guess he had to think of a story with all these too. It's not just the art. We just mostly see the art.
Yeah, writer and penciler, inker.
Yeah, it does it all.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
So yeah, Smashed is a collection of 13 short horror stories. That again, I guess he did everything on.
Apparently.
Looking at the title and thinking like, oh, Smash, they must all be interconnected in some way.
Sure.
At least that's what I thought. No, there's one story at the end called Smashed. The final story of the book's called Smash.
Oh.
And the art on the cover is the story before that. And that's it. It has nothing to do with anything else. So I was a little, taken away. I was looking for like, in every story I read, I was like, does someone get smashed in this? Like, in what meaning of the word? Do they get drunk? Do they get crushed? Like, what is this?
Right.
It ended up being none of that.
Interesting.
They're just like, what feel ultimately like random stories.
It's just like an album with a title track.
Yeah,
where it's
exactly.
like, all right, this is just in here.
But yes, this was a collection of those stories, and I found them to be all over the place.
Okay.
Some were really, really good.
Yep.
Some had a good story, not so great art. Some had really good art, and the story was okay. Some were both really good or both really bad. Kind of touch and go. Touch and go?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll say it.
I've never known what it means, so I'll take it for.
Yeah, I had
how
a
you
couple
mean it.
those that I specifically wrote down.
Okay.
One called The Mystery of the Haunted House, which had throughout the whole book the scariest art I've seen.
Really?
Maybe not the scariest Junji Ito art, but reading the book, that story had the art that I was like, okay, this is spooky. I'm scared.
Wow.
It's really good. There's some creepy designs.
That's cool that it could have that impact on you.
Yeah, the story itself was fine. It totally is just like a normal run of the mill ghost story.
Sure.
But,
I do love a ghost story.
yeah. So, and that's the thing. That's the big thing I took from all of this is that these are fun. These are all like, they're creepy.
Okay.
But they're like, short Tales from the Crypt episodes.
Sure.
They're just all random. You learn about the characters, you go through their story, and it ends. Sometimes with a twist, not every time. Sometimes it's just like a creepy ending. But so that one particularly, that's what makes it fun. Is like I feel like I'm reading a different book every time.
Yeah.
There's one called I Don't Want to Be a Ghost. That one was the most messed up, I think.
Oh yeah.
There were some very dark moments in that one that I was like, okay, I don't want to be a ghost either. I think I'll skip that.
Okay.
So that one was really good. And Smashed being the title was it had the most insane deaths I've seen throughout the whole book.
In reading it, did you see why that was the title of the collection?
Yes, it's definitely the strongest.
It's
I think.
standout.
Yeah.
Yep.
Story itself, again, not like anything crazy because not a ton's explained. But the art in particular, you're like, you must have an interesting mind there.
It's such an interesting thing, finally jumping into an art or an artist, a creator of in any medium that you are familiar with in some degree, just because of how well known they are. And then realizing like, oh, of course, not every single thing is like gold. Right. You know what I mean? Like it could be with a director, it could be with music. I think a lot with TV shows, it's a really, a prime example of this is like, if, someone's a massive X-Files fan, like you've been hearing about X-Files forever and you're like, I know it's so iconic and I've seen Mully and...
I'm sorry, Brett, what? Excuse me?
Mully
and Sculler?
Mully and Scolder.
Yo, Scolder.
Mulder and Scully.
Yeah.
On posters and like I've known about it forever.
Yes.
Then you go back and you have to get through like early episodes and I mean, I think people know now that it's like, all right, you got to get through so many shows. You have to get through like the first season.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting thing where you're like, how is this so iconic? And I remember when we watched the animated show based on Junji's work on Netflix, and the first episode is bonkers. It's so weird and like not that great. Like I was like, all right, this is strange and I'm intrigued and I'm going to finish it, but it didn't feel like what I thought it was going to feel like.
Yeah, and that's what some of those stories feel like is that first episode where it's like it's kind of out there. It's kind of like some are supernatural, some are just like people being people.
Sure.
So you get a huge array of different types of stories.
Yeah.
And I think just with anybody, some will be better for others.
Yeah, of course.
As opposed to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is, and it was a great analogy with the album. Like if people will sit through a whole album, not every song's going to be their favorite.
Yeah, right.
Or they
exactly.
won't like every song. So same thing with this collection.
Yeah, you're like getting to know him more as an artist.
Yes.
Than you maybe did previously, because I've been seeing his art for years and years.
Yeah, forever. They're on everything.
Yeah.
I mean, people just post, and one of the most iconic ones is from Uzumaki.
Yeah.
And it's that girl's face that's all like twisted in and stuff.
Yep.
So there are some iconic pieces. So I'm excited. I don't know where Smashed is as far as like the timeline
Okay, yeah.
of his work. I think Uzumaki was the first, or at least the most popular. So I have to do a little more research in that. But still, it was still a good read overall. I don't think there was any in particular that I like hated, or I was like, I wasted my time reading this. Everyone, at least I enjoyed my time reading.
So the whole collection's a keeper?
whole collection, a keeper.
Do you know what you're going to read next?
The Witcher, the first Witcher book.
Aren't they huge?
No, not bad at all.
Okay, good.
No, like 250 pages, 300.
I was worried for you for a second.
No, it's not too bad at all.
It'll probably take you less time to read that than play the game.
Yeah, it will. I'll probably finish the series quicker than
Yeah,
I'll finish the game.
That's wild.
Yep. So I'm 20 pages into that. Nothing too crazy, but
all I did for my reading goals this year so far is stack the stuff that I want to read. So I just
it's good to have like a visualization.
That's what I have, dude.
Yeah?
I have a stack, and I have a long box that has all the Turtles books that I haven't read yet. And I looked at it, I was like, this is daunting. Like,
Is it really a lot?
It's a lot
Yeah.
because books are pretty easy to accumulate, and it's not like you can just. I mean, for me, I can't in a week read like typically a whole book.
Yeah, as opposed to like a movie, a show, music, even a game.
Yeah, right.
You know?
A game can be. It's just different.
Books are a much bigger investment.
Yeah. So what I would love to do is replace my social media scrolling with reading. That would.
Yeah, you should. I mean, you can train yourself to do that. To like every time you're about to, be like, actually, a book. And put it in front of your phone.
That's really what I want to do. I am getting less and less from social media.
Yeah,
every day I use it.
I hate it so
much.
much.
It's just I use it until something frustrates me.
Yeah,
and I get angry, and I'm like, why am I in this comment section right now? I'm not commenting. I'm just reading and being annoyed that people think the way they do.
Yep.
And then what? I think I'm any better? I probably like. I need to be out of here. That's what happens. Like I need to go. I'd rather be in a fantasy world.
Yeah, go do something
of like haunted cats or whatever. That's literally a book that I have. That I think Mom got it for me for Christmas or something.
I think I remember that.
Or my birthday.
Yeah,
it was literally just a book full of short stories on haunted cats. And I mean, if that's not intriguing, then I don't know if you and I can be friends.
It's true.
Well, I'm proud of you. I'm glad you finished that book.
Thank you.
Can we? Is it time?
It's time.
I'm excited about this. All right, here we go.
What are you listening to?
Tim just, he was like, we didn't say what we're going into.
I'm just saying we have always said what we were about to go into.
Tim cannot get in his head that I created transitions for us like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just saying you're the one who tees it up.
I know I did. In my mind,
Yeah.
I say, we're going to go into this.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
I'm just saying we always discuss. We're like, we want to go into movies?
well, I thought we were on the same page.
I know where we are.
So what? Why?
I'm just saying it's weird that you didn't say it.
Why is it weird?
Because we
knew where
always
we were
say
going.
it. We knew where we were going.
Sometimes we don't.
Is it for us or is it for them? Transitions for them, I get that.
Right.
But us keying it, or I don't know, announcing it?
Sometimes it's for us because we don't know what we're going into.
Okay.
But we established we knew what we were going into. You know what? We're in music right now.
Thank you.
For anyone who's lost, For anyone who's Travolta gifing right now,
Maybe someone skipped the transition
there's
by accident.
There's
And they're
show
like, where
notes.
are we?
yeah, right.
So
So we
that's-
just solved that.
right.
We're in music.
We're in music. So last podcast, I talked about how I wanted to listen to
This is
albums.
the Tim show.
We're
We're just enabling Tim to meet his goals.
my goals. This
Yeah.
is what we're doing.
Yep.
This is my life.
So you talked about
I talked about achieving a goal of trying to listen to a new album every week. Every week. And so Brett gave me homework
I did.
this week, and he was like, you know what, douche?
I was very aggressive
He
about
was
it.
so mad.
I'm going to bully him into listening to a record every
He's
week.
like, listen to this.
If I have to drive here and turn you upside down and dump your lunch money out of your pockets, I will.
Not a swirly.
Now listen to this Slayer album, nerd.
But why? So yes, Brett sent me a text and he said, here's your homework, do this.
Yeah.
So he gave me the album Kill 'Em All by Metallica, which I think it's a weird name. But
Metallica.
but hey, if that's what they want to be called, who
Right.
am I to decide?
Right.
It's a good time.
Yeah?
It's a good time.
I'm excited about this. Okay. So this is their debut album.
Oh, okay. You know, I did zero research. I just
Okay.
listened to it.
Cool. So
Yeah.
this is why, because we talked
Teach
briefly
me,
about
brother.
Metallica.
Hold on,
so
let me get my notes.
this is their debut album. I want to say, I think I was just looking at this. I want to say 83.
Again, I didn't look into any of it, but
Let me check, because
Okay.
I was just doing a whole Metallica and Megadeth comparison today, and
Yeah.
I think Megadeth's first album came out in 84, and that came out a year after Kill 'Em All. But let me check.
Yeah.
Kill 'Em All, 83. I was
83,
right. July
okay.
1983. So yeah, this is their first record. This is the first album
Yes.
anyone ever heard by Metallica.
Yep.
And this is what we would call a thrash album.
A thrash.
Yeah.
Dude, it thrashed.
Yeah.
So the first note, I didn't even put it on here, but the cover of this album is sick.
You love it?
It's because if you haven't seen it, it is someone with a hammer like striking down, and there's a blood splatter that looks totally in my head in the shape of a human head. That's what I see.
Oh, interesting.
So, and I think that's really it. It's kind of like the ink blotch test.
Yeah,
Where you can like
Rorschach.
Yeah, exactly. And you can infer. So to me, it looks like someone's head being smashed in. But
Which
I think
Tim loves.
which I love. And the title's called Kill 'Em All.
Yeah.
Yo, I felt it was my calling.
I can't. You're gonna be in a battle vest before you know it.
But yes, so the album cover hit me right off the bat. I'm like, this is gonna be sick.
Yeah.
And it hits you right off the bat with "Hit the Lights," which is the first song in the album.
Yep.
And what a great way to start this off.
Love that.
It was so intense.
It is. It's such a good.
It's like it builds you up, and you're like, "Oh, I'm ready to kill them all." So yeah, I loved it. I thought it was specifically. I put bonkers, great hype. Those were my notes.
Yeah, that's a great note for the way this album starts.
Yeah.
I also love that we've both used the adjective bonkers in one podcast.
That's how'd we do that?
What did I say it about? The first episode of the Junji Ito. animated.
yeah,
I said the first episode was bonkers.
Because it's out of control.
Yeah.
So the second song,
Yep.
Four Horsemen,
Yeah.
also, I think it's my favorite track in the
Is it?
album. I think so.
Great song.
It didn't hook me in like the first 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But specifically at where I think I wrote in these notes. It was like 4 minutes, 22 seconds. The guitar riff sounds like galloping, like horses galloping.
Yeah.
And so I got hit with a huge visualization of the Four Horsemen.
Whoa,
just
dude, you
like-
went in.
I want to consume.
Love this.
Want to consume.
Yeah.
So that gave me a really good, just like
Mm-hmm.
visualization. I said that weird, but
think
just
you
how the
nailed it.
guitar was going. Dude, I was like, this is awesome. This
I
is
love
so
it.
good.
I love it.
And then everything before Search and Destroy, I did not care for.
Really?
I think it was like 3 or 4 songs. I didn't even write down their names.
Yeah.
I felt like it kind of all blended together.
It does a little bit. I think that's a fair assessment of what happens to the album around that time.
Yeah, it's like there was one called like Pulling Teeth, I think, or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like it starts off with like, what's he say? He's like bass solo take 1 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like a little bit of filler, a little bit of just like, it was, again, all cool riffs. But for me,
It's a lull.
Yeah, I feel like I needed more like
Yeah.
oomph. Anything else in between?
I mean, I really like Motor Breath and Jump in the Fire.
Motor Breath was okay. It didn't.
Yeah.
Did I write anything? No, it didn't really like hit me. But
Yeah.
out of that lull, I did enjoy that one.
Cool. Yeah, and Jump in the Fire. It's not my favorite, but
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it's definitely. I feel like it's not my. Oh wait, you didn't like Whiplash? I love Whiplash.
Yeah, again, I was at that point where I was like, okay, this kind of sounds like the previous one.
Yeah,
and again, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Sure.
But if someone gave me all those songs and said, point these out, I would think it was all one song.
Now, do you feel like it's because I do think sometimes this can happen depending on the genre. Like this can happen on a thrash record if it's like, I mean, because thrash is just fast and loud.
Yeah.
But unless there's a riff or like a couple of breaks or some kind of change up that really catches your ear, I find like you can get lost in it.
Yeah.
So do you think like if any of those songs were in the beginning of the album, you would care for them more, or do you think Hit the Lights and The Four Horsemen were particularly better songs?
I think they were particularly better because those
Yeah.
I can like point out moments and remember how I felt listening to them.
Yeah, that's important.
Now, if they were in the middle, I think no matter where they're placed, I think they were just good by themselves.
I think that's fair. I do particularly like those songs. And then,
Yeah.
in the middle, I would say the one that I'm most surprised about is Whiplash because I really love that song.
I could give that one a second listen just to see because that's when I was starting to think they sounded all similar, and I was like, this one's a little bit different, but still didn't like hit me.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
But you like Seek and Destroy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought it was Search and Destroy. Seek and Destroy. I wrote my notes down wrong.
So yeah, he says Searchin', Seek and Destroy.
Gotcha.
But it is called Seek
Seek and Destroy.
Yeah.
Yes. So that one just to me sounds like if someone said like this is what Metallica sounds like.
Yeah.
That's a song that I assume they would play for me.
That's a good one.
It's a very Metallica sounding song. Yeah, but it was good. What did I write? Yeah, just overall great song.
Yeah.
And then the
It's a very
last
good
one,
song.
I think it was the last one. That's all I have in my notes.
Yeah,
Metal
there's
Militia.
like some bonus versions on the reissues, but
Yeah.
Metal Militia is like the last official track
Yeah,
on it.
and I thought that was a great way to end it off too.
Yeah.
It felt, strong, kind of
Yeah.
strong. Not my favorite out of the bunch, out of like the ones I really enjoyed, but again, just like a good end cap to everything I just listened
Yeah,
to.
it's funny. It's just like it's a song about metal,
Yeah,
which is like, I don't know. I think that's funny. Like in that era, that happened a lot, and it still happens sometimes, but it depends. You have to be like a really specific type of band to just talk about what you're making. Like,
Yeah.
then it was very like there would be lyrics about like going to shows and like what headbanging is, like literally just songs about
Metal.
songs. And, yeah, just about going to metal shows and
Yeah.
being metal. And that one is just kind of like a call to arms, like the Metal Militia. So yeah, it is a good cap to the album, I think.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
So what would you consider it a keeper?
I
Sounds
would.
like
I
it.
would say the middle. What's there that I think is strong is super strong.
Yeah.
Just to hear it for those, I still don't consider myself like a full album listener.
Yeah, right.
So I think I need to grow more into that, and because I think if I listen to them like separately or individually, maybe I would have different opinions.
But you have like, I mean, that sounded to me like 4 or 5 songs you would put on a playlist.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I have 4 specifically written down.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think pretty good. There was
cool.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Okay, so let me ask you now. Do
Yes.
you want me to... One thing I thought of is I could give you a crash course in Metallica. Like I could skip a couple albums and give you like...
The next heavy hitter.
Yeah, like the next... Because they have a few that are like... I mean, you should hear them all.
Yeah.
And you'll even know a couple songs on them probably. But I could skip to like... when their production got a little bit better and like Master of Puppets era.
Yeah.
And then we could jump to like Black Album, and then I could get you up to like the latest, or we could take a week off of Metallica.
Take a break from
I
Metallica.
could give you something totally different.
I might jump around because I wanna broaden my horizons in general.
Cool.
And I think if I stick with Metallica for like a month or whatever, I might get sick of it.
You'll become a purist, and you'll never listen to anything but
Everything
80s
else
thrash
will
metal.
be terrible.
Yeah.
But I might venture off on my own and just listen, like just pick an album I'm familiar with.
Do it.
But maybe have a different thing to talk about next week. If that's
I'll
that's
send,
okay. But yeah,
dude,
send
that's
me
totally
some
fine.
stuff.
I'm gonna
me some-
send. I have some things in mind.
Yeah.
That are totally like not. They're totally different genres
yeah.
and everything that I'll send you if you want to. But one album in particular I listened to last week that I thought would be fun for you to go through. But that's cool, man. I'm glad you liked. You've officially heard Kill 'Em All.
Yes.
And
officially.
I like that you're writing down your notes. I feel like that's going to keep them in your head.
That was, the big thing with this is I feel like when I write notes in my phone, they're quick. Again, I'm like on my phone more.
Yeah.
My brain kind of like is like, okay, it's escaped. But writing down, I spend like, 5 to 10 minutes like thinking of the thoughts, writing them down, rereading them. Like I'm sitting with it a little bit more. So
I think it's a more natural way to do things.
Yeah, it just feels it's been fun. So
cool.
Yeah. Journals. That's the theme of the episode.
Yeah, journals. Get yourself a journal. Are we done?
I think we're good.
This has been episode number 272. You guys are the coolest for hanging out with us. You can find us on all social media platforms at the Keep Up Podcast. That's TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. If you're listening, the VODs of the podcast will officially be there every week now. So if you prefer to view it, that's fine with us.
We've also heard a couple of people say they watch it and enjoy it.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you so much.
You who's watching right now, thank you.
Blessed by the great Plapatus. Check us out on the socials. Like I said, we have some exclusive videos that we're going to be posting there that won't be a part of the podcast or anything like that. So you can go hang out there and interact with us there. If you like some extra bonuses, like Tim mentioned earlier, you can find us at patreon.com/thekeepup. And that rules. And you guys rule. And Tim is going to tell you where you can find all his other stuff right now.
You guys can find me at Collection Revolution on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitch, on wherever else people can find you on the social medias. Yeah. Brett, where can everyone find you?
At This Drink I Like It on Instagram. That's my personal IG. You can hang out with me there. Probably have stories about music I'm listening to and, I don't know, maybe going to the gym sometimes or what else? Watching Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. But it's also got a link tree on that profile there, and you can find my music and you can find my streaming stuff whenever that starts again, and my other podcasts and all kind of fun stuff. Tim is going to do what's called End Babble, where I give him a topic and he takes us out by talking nonsense for like a minute and a half.
Yes.
And that is it. 272. You guys are the coolest for hanging out with us. We love you. Tim, your theme is vinyl record cheese wheel. Okay, love you guys. Bye.
Okay. The wheels spin. The chimes ring. The toes wiggle. And you open your old vinyl record from your great-grandpappy, Salamandra. And Salamandra collected a collection of very obscure and specific little vinyl records. First, he has one called The Tale of the Spilo. A Spilo, as you know, is like a silo, but it's underground. It's a weird one. It sounds like this. And he also had one called The Cheese Wheel. And it's ooey and gooey and comes from the moon. And you decide to play it. And it sounds like this.
Holy Goliba. Holy Goliba.
And so I'll leave you with this. Don't play demonic vinyl records that you find from your great-grandpappy Salamandra. It's only going to lead to you summoning Satan. And no one wants that. Unless you are Satan. Then welcome home. Thank you.